stones there, so that the stones are getting real hot. And then it puts the stones down in this pit, this whole cooking pit, as they are called. And then you put this vessel down together with the food, and there you cook it. So it's not, perhaps that's one way to cook. The other way is to put a vessel over the hearth. But this is the kind of way that you can cook it. Yeah. So this is for food and food storing, cooking. Extraction, and you probably remember this. I've already shown some picture of this, but I would say during the 19th century, when the Danish museumman Thomsen organized our prehistory in Stone Age, Bronze Age and Iron Age, that was the way one thought at that moment. Today I still use Stone Age, Bronze Age and Iron Age, but if you approach these periods with other aspects, you see that this kind of division in different ages doesn't fit anymore. And that's what I was trying to tell you earlier today. And so the Stone Age, the hunter-gatherers, you can see as one period. And then you can see the Neolithic and the early Bronze Age as one kind of thinking. Okay. And later Bronze Age and early Iron Age is also has more in common than with the early Bronze Age. And one of the big changes during this period is how to construct and build houses. Stone Age houses had, as I showed you, just one row of pillars or posts that carried the roof. During this period, one sees a change, that you have these pairs of posts that holds up the roof, and this made the room much bigger, much larger. And during that period, you also start to stable the cattle. And the sheep, the cows, and the pigs. Earlier they had to live outside the house, but now they stabled inside the house. And what's the consequence then? Disease? No. Yeah, the consequence is that you get a lot of manure. Okay. And that is important to change the way of farming. So now you can take the manure and put it on the fields, and that will change the whole way of thinking of farming. So you have this division in stable and called house. And actually, even today, if you go to northern Germany, they have this. Southern Denmark, they still have this. The house it's one house, and in one part there is the cows, and in one part there is the family. So if you're talking about long perspective here, and hela strukturer. This is one of the most important things that made a change in society during the later Bronze Age and the early Iron Age. The other thing is, of course, the iron. There isn't anything good to look at here. So I have just the iron. The bronze, as I told you earlier, there was something that you what kallar jag för? Gilter man user. Sorry? Vad gilter man user? Import? You mold. Okay. And the tools are nothing you can use actually, more than shown for you. another one. Iron is something you pick up from the bog, from the shallow lakes, and something you have to heat up and get melting. And then you can smith it into different forms, of course, and more experimental forms, and long forms like a long swords, for instance. And iron is also something you can shorten up all the time. It's more suitable for farming, actually. You can put it on the wooden plow. And then it's getting much easier to farm and to cultivate the soil, and you don't have to depend on a easy-going soil, a sandy soil anymore. You can cultivate also more clay soil. So that's one of the big shifts: the new house constructions, the iron, and the permanent fields.
And this culture is coming from which side?
What?
As you told us in the class that, I don't remember exactly, the bronze culture is coming from the eastern side.
Yeah.
And the culture before the Bronze Age is coming from the eastern.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that it comes from. It has contact, I would rather put it in a way that it has contact with the eastern part of Europe and the Middle East. And that's more, not that the people from Eastern Europe wandered to Sweden and took it. No.
Okay. But
that's how we see it today.
But when you say this, like, do they have the direct contact with the Middle East? How, like, they travel through the ships and like this?
Ships, and also during now I have to jump a little bit.
Okay.
But during the Iron Age, actually some of the young people, if you read the text, you can see they talk about it. Young men are going down to Roman Empire and they take
in the army.
Yeah. So that's also a way, and that way ideas of how to farm or how to relate to gods and all those things travels, one could say, between Southern Europe or Eastern Europe
and in this age we don't have the graves.
The graves?
Yeah, as you said that we have the pattern like this, we have the graves, and then they started to burn down the white people. And
that's also different, because during the earlier Bronze Age, there was much about chiefdom and prestige and building big grave molds, burial molds. But during the later Bronze Age and the early Iron Age, all the graves are more anonymous, and you start to burn
the dead,
cremate the dead.
Okay.
You haven't done that. Oh, sometimes during Stone Age you can see cremation, but that's not so common. But during the later Bronze Age and early Iron Age, cremation is the way to put the dead in the ground. And also, that's a little bit funny. If you dig, for instance, an early Iron Age grave, you think that, you find 5 or 6 small burned bones, and you wonder, wow, where is the rest of this person? Has he decomposed and melted away in some way, or is it so that they only took a handful of the bones from the cremation and put in the graves, and the other bones they perhaps sacrificed in wetlands or in other contexts. So often in early Iron Age graves, we would consider them poor, because there aren't so many grave finds. Grave finds. So perhaps a small iron knife and these 5 bones, or just the 5 bones, or just one little bone, or nothing. So often we consider them quite poorly, but I wouldn't say that the early Iron Age society was a poor society, but they manifested their wealth in other ways, if you compare with the early Bronze Age.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there's another shift in the farming.